I'm happy that she came in and did. I'm sure she proved a lot of people wrong that thought that, what a year. I never could have imagined last bucket of my rookie season would be a three. But maybe God's saying give them a taste of what they'll be seeing more of in year two, LOL.
Quick hitter number 3 goes to Chicago Sky rookie forward Angel Reese, who has a new weekly podcast called Unapologetically Angel. Because I would have been like, how naive can you be? But she is young. She's only 22. And the reality is the scrutiny that she's been subjected to is inexcusable. It's egregious. It's disgusting. It's wrong.
The WNBA and the entire sports world are being rocked by Angel Reese's dismissal from the Chicago Sky due to drug charges. The scandal's scope has been difficult to overestimate for years. The WNBA has gradually gained momentum with rising viewership and sponsorship deals, and women's basketball has been putting a lot of effort into finding its place in the larger sports world. Reese's scandal, which links one of the league's most well-known names to dishonesty and unethical behavior, threatens to undo that progress. The WNBA is at a tipping point, and with players like Caitlin Clark and Sabrina Ionescu garnering more public attention than ever before, the league was poised for a cultural revolution. As such, behavior during this time is crucial. At a time when women's sports are struggling for quality and validity, Reese's scandal tarnishes that narrative. Clark in particular has attracted new fans, increased television ratings, and caught the public's imagination. In addition to harming her career, a doping scandal involving a well-known athlete like Reese also poses a threat to the WNBA's legitimacy in a larger framework. This circumstance exemplifies the difficulties women's sports leagues encounter in their quest for more recognition. The WNBA has been fighting the idea that it is not as well-liked or competitive as its male counterparts. This kind of controversy provides naysayers with justification to minimize the league's advancement, and the timing couldn't be worse given that women's sports leagues, such as the WNBA, have been gradually increasing progress in the discussion of professional sports and gender equality. Angel Reese's career isn't the only thing affected by this scandal. It concerns how the WNBA will handle this PR nightmare and how it will persevere in growing despite hardship. This tale is about more than just one player. It's about women's basketball's future and how controversies can change the course of higher leagues. Reese, Angel, the pressure on the athlete, and the cost of fame. Angel Reese's journey from rising star to scandal-plagued player highlights the extreme pressure that athletes face in today's fiercely competitive world. For Reese, this pressure was exacerbated by the expectation that she would compete against Caitlin Clark, a player who was shattering records and redefining what it meant to be a WNBA star. The comparisons between Reese and Clark were constant, and it's evident that they had an impact on Reese on several levels. With the hype surrounding Reese, young athletes are immediately thrust into the spotlight, expected to perform at the highest levels, win games, and carry the weight of representation in women's sports in particular. Her trajectory highlights a larger problem in sports: the crushing weight of expectations placed on young athletes when they enter professional leagues. Like many young stars, Reese was always scrutinized, and media critics and even fans emphasized every mistake she made. Even the best athletes have been broken by this kind of pressure. Comparable difficulties have been observed in other sports, such as tennis stars like Naomi Osaka, who have struggled with mental health issues, or gymnasts like Simone Biles, who have chosen to put their mental health before competition. For athletes like Reese, the pressure has only increased due to the emergence of social media. There is no way to avoid expectations or criticism. In the current era of sports, where athletes are also expected to be media, Reese's pressure was probably increased by the fact that, despite her strong performance, she was unable to match Caitlin Clark's explosive rise. Every missed shot and game that doesn't go as planned is discussed in real time on platforms like Twitter and Instagram. Perceptive and marketable constant public scrutiny combined with falling short of expectations can result in poor choices. The psychological toll of falling short of expectations is significant, particularly in a league like the WNBA, where individual stars have the power to make or break entire franchises. Reese's alleged use of performance-enhancing drugs may have been a desperate attempt to close the gap between where she was and where she felt she needed to be. Reese may have sought out shortcuts that would ultimately jeopardize her work performance because she believed that her failure to live up to the hype was a personal failing. Enhancing substances, the negative aspect of professional athletics. The problem of performance-enhancing substances for many years. Peds in sports have cast a negative light on professional athletics, but they are typically more associated with men's sports than women's. Reese's alleged use of anabolic steroids and EPO, erythropoietin, pushes this issue to the forefront of women's sports in a way never seen in the WNBA before, and makes us face the fact that female athletes are just as affected by the demands of professional sports as their male counterparts. Basketball, a sport where explosive quickness and stamina are crucial, but typically not to the same extent as in endurance sports like cycling or long-distance running, is a particularly risky sport where EPO is uncommon. The physical toll of a lengthy WNBA season combined with the pressure to perform at the top level every night may have made Reese believe that this was the only way to compete. The use of anabolic steroids adds even more complexity because these drugs are known for their ability to quickly increase muscle mass and strength, which would have given Reese a physical advantage on the court, but come with serious health risks. The fact that Reese allegedly turned to a drug like EPO speaks volumes about her desperation to maintain an edge in a competitive environment where athleticism and endurance are becoming increasingly important. Fluctuations in mood. Injury to the liver. For a young athlete like Reese, using steroids may have appeared like a temporary solution, but the long-term implications on the endocrine system and cardiovascular issues may have been disastrous in sports history. Peds scandals have had a significant impact on entire leagues as well as the sportsmen involved. Major League Baseball's steroid scandals in the 1990s and 2000s cast doubt on the leg integrity of entire seasons, turning cycling, once a sport of great renown, into a doping connotation following Lance Armstrong's decline. The WNBA may now face a similar difficulty in the wake of Reese's scandal. The league's reputation, which has been based on honesty, hard work, and celebrating women's accomplishments, now faces a stain that might take years to remove. These sports have spent years repairing their image. Weatherspoon, Teresa. The repercussions of a damaged coaching career. Teresa Weatherspoon's role in this scandal represents a turning point in her coaching career, which is renowned for her mentoring and leadership. For a coach who is formerly praised as a ray of success, particularly as a former player who became a leader, Weatherspoon's reputation has taken a serious knock because of her affiliation with Angel Reese and the peeing scandal. Regardless of Weatherspoon's direct participation in Reese's choices, her career is in ruins because of the belief that she was complicit. Weatherspoon's possible support of ped use, even if subtly, raises concerns about the morality of coaching in high-pressure situations. Coaches are meant to be the moral and strategic leaders of their teams, guiding their players not only to success on the court but also to personal development. If Weatherspoon really encouraged Reese to use peds in order to save a struggling season, it would be a huge betrayal of trust, but more significantly, it would imply that even coaches are susceptible to the pressures of professional sports, which are to win at all costs, even if it means sacrificing their morals. In the past, coaching scandals have had a lasting effect on the individuals involved as well as the teams they led in collegiate athletics. For instance, Weatherspoon's entire programs have been shut down or placed on probation due to scandals involving unethical player treatment or recruitment violations. Her legacy is now under jeopardy. She may have been a promising figure in the WNBA coaching ranks, but this scandal could ruin her career. Good coaches, especially those who were once players, have a special responsibility in helping their athletes grow because they have experienced the demands and difficulties of professional sports. Weatherspoon's failure to stop, or worse, her alleged encouragement of Reese's ped use raises doubts about her ability to help young athletes make the right decisions when the stakes are high. The collapse of the Chicago Sky is a crisis franchise. The effect of the Angels' fallout, in addition to ruining her career, the Reese scandal left the Chicago Sky franchise in disarray. Teresa Weatherspoon and Reese were both fired in the wake of the scandal, and the team now has to rebuild its leadership group and roster from the ground up. This is no easy task for a franchise that was already having trouble on the court and had a record that kept them out of the playoff picture. In professional sports, Team chemistry frequently determines success or failure, and the Chicago Sky's locker room is currently full of players who feel deceived by the broken trust between teammates, coaches, and management. Reese, who was formerly thought of as the team's cornerstone and leader, is now seen as the cause of the group's disintegration. The harm goes beyond the locker room as teammates who depended on her performance and leadership are left doubting their own responsibilities and if they can continue to trust the company. The scandal has left the Sky front office frantically trying to manage the story and make amends with the team's public image sponsors, whose funding is essential to the team's success. May reconsider their partnership given the unfavorable publicity in a league that is only establishing its stability of finances. Losing important sponsors or supporters can be disastrous for a team like the Sky. In the larger WNBA context, the Chicago Sky's collapse serves as a warning about how easily things may fall apart when controversy arises. Like all professional leagues, the WNBA depends on its teams to perform well on the court as well as uphold a certain standard of professionalism and integrity off it. When a team, like the Sky, gets involved in a scandal, it could bring the league as a whole to its knees. The WNBA now has to deal with the fallout while making sure that one team's problems don't stop the league's expansion. How Caitlin Clark's ascent draws attention to Reese's decline was ruined by a rivalry. Reese's scandal has all but destroyed the once exciting rivalry between Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark, which had the potential to be one of the greatest plotlines in WNBA history. Rivals like Serena Williams and Maria Sharapova or Magic Johnson and Larry Bird contributed to the advancement of their respective sports. What should have been an exciting rivalry has devolved into a one-sided affair, with Clark continuing her meteoric rise while Reese's career spirals out of control. The Reese-Clark dynamic could have done the same for women's basketball, providing a gripping story for fans to latch onto. The controversy surrounding Reese during the time that Clark was busy setting records and establishing herself as the WNBA's face contrasts sharply with her dominance on the court and her polished appearance. Reese was having trouble keeping up, and while it was inevitable that the two players would be compared, this seems to have driven Reese to make desperate choices rather than stoking a competitive fire. Her purported usage of urine draws attention to the discrepancy between her true and desired states. Since rivalries are what entice casual fans into sports, fostering emotional engagement and increasing watching, the WNBA might have benefited greatly from the rivalry between Ree and Clark. However, with Reese's scandal appending that plotline, the WNBA is now left with a gap. While Clark continues to prosper, the story has changed.